to a Maine's Eye View of Agriculture, a virtual tour for Maine's policymakers. Today we'll be highlighting some of the important and unique sectors of Maine agriculture. I'm Julie Marie Bickford, AGCOM's president, and I will serve as your guide for today's exploration of our diverse agricultural landscape and the broad variety of products and economic activity that can be found throughout. Some agricultural enterprises are very well known and visible. You may have even visited or been a patron at some. Others are hidden gems, existing behind the scenes and quietly focusing on growing and nurturing their signature products, our environment, and their small businesses that enrich our state economy. As we travel through today's virtual tour, you may have questions or want to pursue certain topics further with our AGCOM members and member organizations. Feel free to enter your questions in the chat box feature. But we also invite you to join us for a live Q&A session with AGCOM members from the tour and a few additional sectors upon the conclusion of this video. I look forward to seeing you live and in person. We will answer as many questions as we can during the allotted time and would be glad to speak with you whenever you might have ag questions throughout the legislative session. Before we start our virtual journey, I want to introduce you to the sponsoring organization for this event, the Agricultural Council of Maine, more commonly known as AGCOM. We are an organization of organizations made up of groups representing almost every type existing in Maine. AGCOM is the place where information about Maine agriculture and its services and programs are shared, brainstormed, and debated. We all share a passion for Maine agriculture and are committed to finding ways to expand the family farm businesses that make up our Maine communities. Now let's join John Harker, AGCOM's historian, who will share why and how AGCOM was started.
Hi, I'm John Harker. I operate Kent's Hill Orchard. I'm the AGCOM historian. I put a very short video together on the history of AGCOM. Hope you like it.
The 1980s were a turbulent time for Maine agriculture. There was development pressure and increasing costs of production, and a generational shift with new back-to-the-landers and homesteaders entering the state. There was an increase in the environmental movement with more pressure on farmers on their use of chemicals and pesticides. Farmers also faced a total reorganization of the Department of Agriculture, with the department trying to be more marketing proactive, but also with more regulatory control, especially with pesticides. Big changes were also occurring at the traditional schools of ag engineering and science at the University of Maine, and they were being replaced with environmental studies and sustainable agriculture programs. Understandably, farmers were becoming more frustrated with these changes. Adrian Wadsworth from the Maine Endowment for Research, Extension, and Teaching, John Olson from Maine Farm Bureau, and Bill Bell from the Maine Association of Conservation Districts, and John Harker from the Department of Agriculture sat down in 1989 to strategize how we could get more farmer input into these changes. Bill suggested that we form a council similar to the New York Council of Ag Organizations, and with that, AGCOM was born. A board of incorporators was convened, bylaws were written up, and the corporation was formed in May 11th, 1990. 16 statewide organizations and a number of other organizations and individuals joined the original group of AGCOM. The Maine Farm Bureau, made up of the largest organization of farmers in the state, was a major supporter of AGCOM by passing a resolution supporting it and allowing it to be housed at the Maine Farm Bureau offices. The goals of Maine AGCOM were to develop a united effort on agricultural issues, to enhance communications amongst the agricultural organizations, and to provide leadership on issues affecting Maine agriculture. While AGCOM would become the major networking and communication tool for farmers, the legislative efforts were still up to Maine Farm Bureau and the individual commodity organizations. One of the problems was how to deal with divergent views on various issues, especially on pesticide use. The members decided in the end to only advocate and lobby for AGCOM bills if there was a unanimous decision amongst the group. Otherwise, the group would continue to network and communicate, and each individual organization would advocate on its own. One of the unique aspects of AGCOM was the fact that they allowed in the other federal and state organizations and other organizations to come in as associate members. In this way, there can be better communication about the various programs and feedback to those governmental organizations. One of the first orders of business was to list out all the areas of concern that AGCOM members had, and it was a long list, and it included taxation, university staffing, the Department of Agriculture reorganization, pesticide use, food safety, and many, many other issues that needed to be addressed in 1990. Committees were set up to help deal with each one of these issues and to work with the various state and other government organizations to work on and come up with agreeable solutions. Over the past 30 years, AGCOM has completed 5 strategic plans. Most of the issues have remained the same, but as times change, solutions differ. Some issues are shared by all organizations, such as labor, marketing, and food safety and environmental issues, whereas some are very specific to the industry. However, all organizations come together when we go to the legislature. We all support each other. Communication, cooperation, and mutual respect are AGCOM's hallmark strengths. A vision of a bright future for agriculture is shared by all.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that short history and look forward to the rest of the legislative tour. Have a good day.
Remember when I said that AGCOM was made up of Maine agricultural organizations? Well, my regular day job is as Executive Director of the Maine Dairy Industry Association. MDIA, as we're known, represents all of the dairy farm families who are producing milk for sale in its various forms. Could be milk in a bottle from one of our 4 major fluid bottling plants, or some of Maine's famous local ice cream, gelato, or frozen custard. Maybe it's hand-churned butter or cultivated yogurt, or some of our award-winning artisan cheeses. Maine dairy farms are all family-owned and operated, some dating back 8 or 9 generations to the late 1700s. Well, I should say, all except our 3 nonprofit educational farms. The Witter Center at the University of Maine at Orono, Wolf's Neck Center's Organic Dairy Farmer Training Program in Freeport, and one of the oldest registered Holstein herds that resides at Pineland Farms in New Gloucester. Some farms across the state are milking as few as 8 cows, while other multi-generational farms are milking as many as 1,700 cows, while supporting 22 family members as well as employees. From Woodland and Easton in Aroostook County, to Kittery and Cornish in York County, to downtown Portland and Bangor, dairy can be found throughout Maine, and our amazing conventional and organic dairy farms have a strong reputation for producing almost 70 million gallons of quality fresh milk every year, generating over $570 million in annual economic activity, all while maintaining stewardship over 700,000 acres of Maine's fields, forests, wetlands, and contributing $25 million annually in state and local taxes. It's information and representation from many groups like mine that make up the AGCOM team and give us a thorough view of the needs and priorities of Maine agriculture. In January 2020, AGCOM completed a 2-year research effort to identify and develop consensus on the most critical issues to be addressed in order to strengthen and grow Maine's agricultural sector. And while 2020 became its own challenge due to shifts in demands for ag products and altered marketing and distribution channels, the summary of our findings about the best ways to support and assist Maine farmers and ag businesses is still very relevant to our daily lives and forms an important tool for you to use as you engage in public policy discussions at the state, federal, or local levels. Our tour today will take us to 4 AGCOM member groups who represent different types of farming operations in Maine that each have unique assets and challenges. At the same time, they also reflect the common themes of utilizing Maine's abundant and historic natural resources in ways that both protect and perpetuate the potential for growth for generations to come. We will also hear from 4 associate members of AGCOM, representing those groups who support our farm families by providing resources such as research and technical expertise, training for young farmers, or promoting markets and creating processing and distribution services for Maine farm products, all with an eye to expanding our ability to provide food and natural products to people in Maine as well as beyond our borders. So let's kick off our virtual travels by heading out to one of our most famous, seasonally specific growing operations, a Maine Christmas tree farm.
Well, hello there. My name's Matthew Quinn, and I'm the proprietor here at Quinn's Tree Farm up in Cornville. We're a member farm of the Maine Christmas Tree Association, and we provide choose and cut balsam fir Christmas trees for our customers. We do it all here at the tree farm. We have to plant our seedlings in the spring. We mow our tree rows to make sure that the grass doesn't grow too high. And then we have to shear them in the summertime. And then we sell them at Christmas time. The Christmas tree industry is very important to the state. Not only do we provide premium trees for our citizens right here at home to enjoy during the holiday, but every year we send tens of thousands of trees out of state to the cities like Boston and New York. I even know a fella that sells Christmas trees down on West Palm Beach. Why Maine Christmas trees? Because they're the finest quality tree around. And nothing beats the smell of a balsam fir. It's the smell of Christmas.
The Maine Christmas Tree Association, also known as the MCTA, was an organization that started in 1962 to promote real Maine Christmas trees. If you were to walk through some of the fields of our member farms, you'd find lots of variety of trees. Of course, you'd find the balsam fir and the Fraser fir. You'd also find varieties that are a little bit more exotic, like the Turkish fir, the concolor fir, Meyer spruce, Scotch pine, the white pine, even some hybrid varieties like the Canaans and the Frolsums. One of the things we're very proud of at MCTA is our research and development. Some of our founding fathers had the foresight to go out and find some of the very best fir varieties in all of the Northeast and bring them back and plant them into 2 seed orchards, one in Ashland, Maine and one in Norridgewock, Maine. The MCTA is currently made up of 139 farms, some as far north as New Canada, Maine, others as far south as South Berwick. These farms vary in size from tens of thousands of trees being shipped all over the United States to smaller farms just selling to their friends and neighbors.
There are so many reasons why real Maine Christmas trees are better than those imported plastic, non-biodegradable, conical-shaped decoration hanging thingies that resemble a tree that you can get from the big box store. But you don't have to take my word for it.
They offer habitat for Maine wildlife, especially birds. In fact, if you get a nest in your Christmas tree, it's considered good luck. Ooh.
Christmas trees are a renewable resource. In fact, tree growers plant 3 trees for every tree harvested.
Did you know that an acre of Christmas trees provides enough oxygen for 18 people a day? That's a lot of fresh air with all the acres of Maine Christmas trees.
Real Christmas trees are 100% biodegradable, and many cities and towns actually have services where they pick up the trees, chip them, turn them into mulch or compost, and all those beautiful nutrients are returned to the earth. Those tree-like decorations end up in a landfill where they remain forever.
They provide full-time and seasonal employment to our hard-working Mainers, pouring money directly into Maine's economy, using one of Maine's finest natural resources, evergreen trees.
Well, those are some great reasons why Maine Christmas trees are the best choice for Christmas and holiday decor. But what does it take to get one of these trees from a tiny little seedling all the way to a nice tall balsam fir ready to go into your living room at Christmas time? Well, a lot of work, that's what. You know, Christmas trees aren't a set it and forget it. They take a lot of time, almost 7 to 10 years, to get a tree from a seedling to a full-grown one ready to go off into a living room somewhere in the world. Summer is the shearing season. Every year, all of these trees need to be shaped to get that beautiful, classic Christmas tree look. And it's hard work too. Most of it's done by hand with shearing knives or shears. And it can be dangerous too, as yellow jackets and other wasps like to make their nest in these Christmas tree branches. October and November bring on harvest season, where we all go back out into the tree fields and we cut the trees down, bale them all up and put them on trucks and ship them out to other parts of the country. And then on the day after Thanksgiving, for our local retail lots and our choosing cut farms, well, selling season begins. Imagine a year's worth of hard work, all for a 4-week selling period. One farmer can handle about 10 to 15 acres of Christmas trees. That's about 10 to 15,000 trees. But many farms need outside help, especially during shearing season and retail season, to get these trees from the field into the thousands of homes where people will be able to enjoy Maine Christmas trees during the holiday season. Well, we hope you enjoyed this introduction to the Maine Christmas tree industry. For more information, you can check us out on the web at mainechristmastree.com or on Facebook, Maine Christmas Tree Association. Or you can talk to any one of our member farms, as I'm sure they'd love to share their experiences firsthand with you. Well, I gotta get back to the trees. It is hard work, but I do love it. And in the words of famous Maine author E.B. White, I'd really rather feel bad in Maine than feel good anywhere else. So there go, my legislator friends. I'll see you soon.
With all the discussion about climate change and ways to mitigate global warming, maintaining healthy forests or growing trees and other crops and building the health of the soil used to grow those crops is one of the best ways to sequester carbon. The key is keeping the land active by growing something and maintaining that healthy soil. This also makes sure that the farms are more resilient to the impacts of climate change. Maine Farmland Trust is a land conservation organization dedicated to ensuring that lands currently engaged in agriculture today will be available for future farmers. Their efforts make sure that ag land can be affordable for those farmers of the future, as well as helping to protect the open spaces and vistas that Maine farms provide for hunting, fishing, hiking, snowmobile, and ATV riding, and so many other forms of outdoor recreation so important to our tourism industry. Protecting land is also an important natural climate solution by avoiding the greater emissions that come with developed land, by making sure we have the land base to grow our agricultural sector and create food security for the state, by creating climate benefits from farmers using healthy soils practices on the land. So let's hear a little bit more about Maine Farmland Trust.
Hi, my name is Ellen Griswold, and I'm the Policy and Research Director at Maine Farmland Trust. For those of you who are not familiar with our organization, we're a member-powered statewide organization that works to protect farmland, support farmers, and advance the future of farming. Since 1999, MFT has helped to permanently protect nearly 300 farms and keep over 60,000 acres of farmland in farming, while providing over 800 farm families with a wide range of services. We also actively work on policy measures that help farmers become and remain economically viable, that increase access to farmland, that keeps farmland in farming, and that provides farmers with the tools and resources they need to become more resilient in the face of climate change. I would now like to share with you a video from our 20th anniversary that provides more information about our organization and its work. But please reach out if you have any questions. I look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you.
My father always told me, he says, they're not gonna make one more inch of land, bub. It's all here.
There's a saying that farmers say is the last crop you'll ever grow is houses. I couldn't see that for me. It needs to be protected. It needs to be forever valued for what it is. It's farmland.
You know, farmers are out there every day working hard, growing the food that we eat and that sustains our economies and our communities. But we are at a turning point where the challenges that we're facing are very real. We're losing land to development, changes in climate, and about a third of our farming community is reaching retirement age. It's not certain that a farm will continue to be an active farm into the future.
Preserving farmland is, that's how we make our food. You know, that's how you, there's a whole economy that surrounds it too.
Farms can't sell stuff to people that won't buy it. People need to be there wanting to buy good food for good food production to be sustainable.
Maine has an incredible land base. We have the land, we have the soil, we have the water, and we have the opportunity to grow much more food for ourselves and for the region.
In order to have any farmland for future generations to farm, it has to be protected.
If Maine Farmland Trust isn't there, who is?
We can't control what happens in the world. We can control what happens here. We can be sustainable. We can be good to the earth here.
You know, we have the power to decide what our communities look like into the future, and we want to ensure that we have thriving farms in our communities all across the state. Maine Farmland Trust has been working for the last 20 years to protect farmland, to support farmers, but it's going to take us all pulling together in order to continue to grow the future of farming in Maine.
Our farmers feel the legacy of being stewards of farmlands, and they accept the responsibility to care for the land and waters while simultaneously striving to earn a decent living for themselves and their families. Maine land is very well suited to growing food. Some of the sandiest, thinnest soils in the state, often on rocky coastlines and hilltops, are best for growing one of Maine's most iconic crops, something grown in Maine and maritime Canada and virtually nowhere else on Earth. Let's head down east to see a uniquely Maine landscape and talk about Maine wild blueberries.
When you go out to the Barrens,
you see the most unique agricultural system in the world. These plants were never planted here. They were not bred by human hands. These plants have been here, thriving since the glaciers receded from Maine over 10,000 years ago.
We call these glacial deposits of land that are growing so many blueberries a blueberry barren. And that name does describe the place. It looks pretty barren. It almost looks like you're in a dry desert, but you're here in Maine.
In the spring, the small, white, bell-shaped flowers cover tens of thousands of acres across the state.
And you'll hear the bees just buzzing around.
These fields support a tremendous diversity of wildlife. In some fields, 100% of the pollination is done by native bees. More than 100 bee species that we know of are supported in the spring by the bounty of pollen and nectar. Of course, without these bees, not a single flower would turn into a berry.
If we go in the fall, it can be bright red with leaves. Go in August, it can be completely blue. So, looking at it over time and the differences in the fields, it's rural and quiet and just a really very nice place to be.
Maine is the only state in the country that commercially grows and harvests wild blueberries. And the University of Maine is the only institution in the country that has a research program that focuses solely on this crop.
This iconic crop was first managed and harvested, we think thousands of years ago, by the Wabanaki. Commercial production started after the Civil War, when berries were first canned and shipped to Union troops. Since then, production increased drastically. These increases are the result of the innovative entrepreneurial nature of our farmers, also because of improvements in crop management, harvesting, and processing brought about by our close relationship with the University of Maine.
When we started, we didn't know anything about blueberries, and it was a real learning curve. Everything we did was a learning curve, and we're just really lucky that there's people like Dave.
The university is home to the University of Maine Wild Blueberry Research and Extension Team.
Bees in general are important because they're extremely efficient pollinators of most of the fruits and nut crops that we grow and consume.
Maine's policymakers can help Maine's wild blueberry businesses respond to market pressures, pivot to this new COVID market reality that we're all living in, and help us to grow and to foster these family farms by really facilitating and supporting university and state investment in research and development in our agricultural systems.
If we didn't have that university research and that information to allow them to adapt and improve their productivity, they'd be out of business. There would be no blueberry growers.
Second, we need to increase the profitability of our farms and of our businesses. State initiatives and programs can help our industry build value through value-added production here in Maine, help launch agritourism initiatives to increase visibility and generate more on-farm income. We can rethink, expand, and diversify agricultural infrastructure to increase the resilience to market disruptions like COVID-19.
What we're doing as small farmers is not only are we creating a lifestyle, we're creating a product that is beneficial for those who are going to consume it.
And they're just so pretty. People stop all the time and take pictures there. And I tell, his niece lives down next to the road, and I tell her husband, I said, why don't you take a chair and go out and sit there and have a sign, $5 a picture.
They love farming. They just love to be outside. They love to manage a crop.
Maine's wild blueberry is a cultural icon. This berry has been an economic force in our most rural counties for nearly 200 years. And for this iconic crop to remain an economic engine, for it to be more than just an icon, we ask for your support and for your understanding to help us pivot and to grow in these uncertain times.
I've been coming here since 1986. I enjoy it and I love it. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't come back. I have arthritis in my hands and it keeps my hands going. Just love it.
Maine's wild blueberries. It's about the people. It's about the land.
Maine's wild blueberry industry is a great example of how Maine farmers are local businesses supporting our state economy and our rural communities. But at the same time, wild blueberry growers and processors have to overcome challenges associated with our geography and distance from national and international markets. Getting Maine food into larger markets is a challenge, especially when competing in the global marketplace. Maine farmers take great pride in being able to feed people, whether they be our neighbors, people in neighboring states, or on the other side of the globe. However, Maine farmers can't always do it by themselves, and they may need to build partnerships with other businesses in our food system to make sure that the food and crops we grow can get to as many people as possible who need them and want them, and in the form that they can best use. That's where the processors, distributors, and retailers of our state come in. So let's hear from the Maine grocers and food producers.
Hi, I'm Christine Cummings, Executive Director of the Maine Grocers and Food Producers Association, MGFPA, and I'm here today to give you an overview of the work we do as a part of the Maine's Eye View of Agriculture, a virtual tour for Maine's Policymakers, a series of the Agricultural Council of Maine. The Maine Grocers and Food Producers Association is a business trade group representing Main Street businesses such as independently owned and operated grocery stores, supermarkets, food and beverage producers and processors, wholesalers and distributors, and our allied service partners. We're a community dedicated to the prosperity of Maine's grocery and food producer industry through excellence in advocacy, networking, and education. Our primary goal is to make sure that Maine is a food-friendly place to do business. The Maine Grocers and Food Producers Association proudly represents more than 200 Maine companies across the state, whether that's supermarkets like a Hannaford to a Whole Foods, independent stores such as your local IGA, an independently run Shop and Save, or natural food store. We also work closely with Maine's agricultural community, including members like Backyard Farms in Madison to Wyman's Blueberries in Millbridge, as well as value-add production companies such as Ray's Mustard from Eastport to Coastal Maine Popcorn in Boothbay. Enterprises with less than 5 workers comprise about 46% of Maine's food manufacturing sector. In 2019, 1,392 people held a license from the state to process food at home. The number of food and beverage manufacturing companies in Maine grew 35% from 2007 to 2017. Categories with the most growth included sugar and confectionery, animal slaughtering and processing, bakeries and tortillas, dairy products, and other. The Maine story has the potential for a 10 to 20% premium in the marketplace. Maine's 10-year economic development strategy identifies food as one of the 4 thematic areas in which Maine has current strengths. There is global demand and there is potential for job creation. However, 90% of our food comes from outside the region. Maine is home to 269 food manufacturing companies, resulting in $223 million in total wages, employing 5,700 Mainers. Maine boasts 108 beverage and tobacco production manufacturing businesses, resulting in $104 million in total wages, employing an additional 2,000 Mainers. As of most recently, we're pleased to see food included in the Governor's Economic Recovery Committee's plan to grow and sustain Maine's economy, specifically to accelerate Maine's economy growth by investing boldly, strategically, and consistently in next-generation technology and innovation to grow our value-add economy. Specifically, this focuses on advancing a strategy for expanding value-add food processing infrastructure to address missing linkages in local supply chains and actively support the development of public and private partnerships. We look forward to working with you to harmonize Maine's fragmented food network, to strategize a food-specific economic development program with stakeholders, business owners, policymakers, and government entities, to collaborate for a private and public partnership for long-term success.
While some farms in our agricultural economy are easy to identify and have been active in Maine for centuries, there are some crops that have only recently been recognized as part of the agricultural sector. For example, people have been farming the seas since our earliest history, starting with the Wabanaki people right through the earliest colonies of settlers to land on these shores. Let's take a look at how today's Maine aquaculture farms are sustainably nurturing nature's bounty to meet our growing consumer demands for seafood and other products from the sea.
One of the exciting things about aquaculture in the state is how fast it's growing. We are the fastest growing food production method in the world, and in the state of Maine, aquaculture is growing roughly 2.4% per year on an annual basis. One of the most interesting things about aquaculture in the state of Maine is how diverse it is. We grow over 20 different species of plants and animals and use roughly 10 to 12 different production methods on any given year. We have a big group of new young farmers coming into the sector. The average age of a farmer in aquaculture in the state of Maine is 36 years old. So we are the new young face of the working waterfront in Maine.
I've really never had, I guess, a real job. I've always been sort of independent. Grew up on Islesboro and started lobstering when I was 11. Graduated from Islesboro Central School and then went to the University of Maine. Got a resource agribusiness management degree. Came back and went fishing. Kept lobstering. Then my wife got interested in aquaculture. The next thing you know, we started a mussel farm. We have 9 rafts total. 2 sites. Right now, there's roughly 6 rafts full of product and 3 rafts full of seed. All of our seed is caught wildly by placing ropes in the water column where we feel the wild seed set's going to come through, and then they naturally set on the mussel rope, and then we grow them out from there.
Aquaculture has been a new industry for Islesboro. We're very much still on the ramp-up side of things. Our first year we harvested 700 pounds. And our second year we harvested 7,000 pounds. And we're just this year getting to a point where we're harvesting 7,000 pounds a month. And we hope to grow that.
We have 5 employees, 3 full-time, and then 2 part-time. These farms are producing enough product that you have to get out of the state. So it makes it a year-round job instead of just something that's maybe seasonal.
I wanted to work on the water. I wanted to continue in a tradition that's been in my family for a long time. And I view aquaculture as an extension of that, a way to preserve that tradition of working on the water. I grow American oysters in the Scarborough River primarily, and grow it out in mostly floating containers, floating bags until year 2, in which case it comes out to Cape Elizabeth and goes onto the bottom. I also grow sea scallops off Cape Elizabeth. People want to live on the water. It's not necessarily just the amazing natural beauty, but it's also to be a witness of sort of that traditional experience and to see people out working or sailing or farming oysters.
So we've been operating in Maine for about 20 years now. Cook is a family-owned business. that started out over 35 years ago raising Atlantic salmon in the ocean. It was a fairly new concept at the time. It started with 5,000 fish, and the company has grown, expanded to have operations around the world. People are looking for healthy, local, fresh seafood produced here in the state of Maine. So our challenge is to meet that demand. And what we've seen is that we're able to diversify the working waterfront in Maine.
Oh, I'm very proud of what I do. It's enabled me to stay in the community, because a lot of us, when we come to work in the aquaculture, we had left the fishing industry. Like, I had to go to a mill, and I was happy there, but when I had a chance to come back and work around the water. We have 288 employees right now that work directly for Cook Aquaculture, and plus there's a lot of spin-off from contractors and vendors. And the aquaculture industry has allowed me to live the American dream. It really has. My family are close, I have a good job, I have a nice home, and I enjoy going to work every day.
The water is changing, the world is changing, and in order to continue to be who we are, we have to find new ways of staying on the water. Ocean Approved was started as the first commercial kelp farm. We renamed it Atlantic Sea Farms, and basically the model is we work with these 24 fishermen along the coast, or aquaculturists, and these folks are getting their own leases, and we're training them on how to harvest, how to farm. Keith is this person, he's been kelp farming now for 3 years, which makes him one of the few fishermen out there that have been farming for that long in Maine. So he's a real pioneer.
I've always diversified as long as I've been fishing, and lobstering isn't the only thing because it has a tendency to go up and down. And so we try to get into another project, not just solely have one project going. It fits into my lobstering season better than anything else. You don't have to work at the kelp season during the summertime and early fall, and that's when lobstering is prime.
One thing that people can be a little bit resistant to is the idea that we're fishing the sea, now we're farming the sea. But the reality is we used to fish here in Maine for several different species. And we have an economy that is almost completely dependent on lobster that is increasingly vulnerable to climate change. In order to be who we are and stay on the water and make money on the water and be the mariners that we've always been, we need to continue to look to diversify. And that's what aquaculture is going to give us the option to do.
So Maine aquaculture has been around for over 45 years, and we're really charting a new way into Maine's future. The Maine brand is worth something. People know that Maine seafood is some of the best seafood in the world. And so we get paid a little more than our competitors from other parts of the world and other parts of the country. By producing local, healthy seafood and delivering it direct to consumers and building the Maine brand, we're helping build Maine's future.
When we think agriculture, we think of rolling hills of grass dotted with grazing cows, or waving green fields of corn or other vegetables, or orchards filled with different varieties of apples and fruits. But not all of Maine agriculture is edible. Some is food for the soul. Let's check in with the Maine Landscape and Nursery Association to hear about the hidden gem of Maine horticulture.
Hi, I'm Don Sproul, Executive Director of the Maine Landscape and Nursery Association, or MELNA. I want to thank you for this opportunity to share some information on Maine's horticulture industry and our association. Horticulture lays claim to being the well-kept secret of Maine agriculture, but according to the 2017 National Agriculture Statistics Service, horticulture is Maine's second largest crop, behind only potatoes and vegetables. We are the third largest component of agriculture overall, also trailing dairy. NASS reported that Maine horticulture sales have increased from 45.4% from $49.1 million in 2009 to $71.4 million in 2017. Maine horticulture operations increased from 250 to 965, a 286% increase over the same time period. The 45.4% increase in sales experienced by Maine is more than 2.5 times the national average increase of 18%. Why? I believe there are two reasons. First, horticulture is now included in the definition of agriculture in Maine state statutes. And second, Melna established the Plant Something, Plant Maine marketing program. On point number one, perhaps my earlier comment about the hort industry being a well-kept secret was too generous. The hort industry felt more like the long-lost cousin of agriculture. In fact, for years, Maine did not include horticulture in its definition of agriculture. All 49 other states, the District of Columbia, and the United States government all included horticulture as part of agriculture. Maine stood alone in excluding horticulture. This meant all Maine nurseries, greenhouses, etc. were required to pay sales tax on all inputs required for plant production. This put Maine businesses at a significant competitive disadvantage. For over 30 years, every Maine legislature passed legislation to add horticulture to the definition of agriculture. But every time it passed, the legislation laid on the appropriations table with a fiscal note due to the loss of sales tax income for the purchase of inputs. Every time it died on the table, failing funding for final enactment. Until 2012. In 2012, after most of the budget was passed by the traditional 2/3 vote, the Hort as Ag legislation was once again left on the table, seemingly dead again due to its $135,000 fiscal note. But the governor and the majority party passed and enacted a supplemental budget bill that did fund the $135,000, and horticulture finally became defined as part of agriculture. Since that time, tax revenues generated by increased sales by greenhouses and nurseries has averaged more than $1.75 million annually. That's a pretty good trade for the $135,000 fiscal note. Had they enacted this over 30 years ago, the state would have enjoyed those additional tax revenues all these years. On point number two, in 2016, Melna launched the Plant Something, Plant Maine campaign, which emphasizes planting for better health, economic value, and the environment.
Feeling stuck at home? Get your garden on. There's never been a better time to get outside and plant a garden. Planting and gardening is good for the soul, good for the environment, great exercise, and a wonderful family activity. And your local independent garden centers are here to help. Visit plantsomethingmaine.org to find a garden center near you. Many offer online ordering, curbside pickup, and delivery. Get outside with the family. Plant something. Visit plantsomethingmaine.org.
In the first year of the campaign, garden centers saw a 22.3% increase in sales and a job growth increase of 13.1%. Sales and jobs have since increased every single year. Melna's mission is to promote the use of ornamental plants, products, and services. In addition to serving as a business resource to our members, we also seek to engage and educate the general public. Our signature event of public engagement is the Maine Flower Show, held annually, at least in non-pandemic years, each March in Portland. We monitor proposed legislation, ordinances, and regulations affecting the industry, and advocate for our horticulture businesses at local and state levels. There are numerous issues affecting us, but the greatest seems to be state and municipal initiatives to ban the use of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. We realize Maine municipalities embrace local control. However, we oppose all attempts to enact full bans. We do so because that is not a scientific approach. Not all organics are safe. Not all synthetic pesticides are dangerous. In fact, there are about a dozen commonly used synthetic pesticides that have a lesser toxicity level than their organic counterparts. Staff from the Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry can speak to you on that subject. We further oppose municipal bans because this creates a mishmash of regulations that vary greatly from town to town. This makes it extremely difficult for professional landscapers to keep track of the differing regulations between communities. Also, Municipal staff, citizen groups, and volunteer committee members do not have the knowledge, expertise, or professional credentials that staff at the Department of ACF, Board of Pesticide Control, or the Cooperative Extension possess. The state of Maine and the United States both officially recognize and advocate integrated pest management as the best way to combat invasive pests. MELNA wholeheartedly concurs. This is a totally scientifically based approach. Integrated pest management is an approach to controlling insects and other crop pests that combines various physical, chemical, and biological methods in an attempt to reduce reliance on pesticides. MELNA, through our Plant Something program, has been running an awareness program to educate the general public on integrated pest management.
When it comes to a healthy, happy garden, it's all connected. Integrated pest management is a science-based approach to creating and managing a healthy garden. When managing invasive species and unwanted pests, always use the safest approach. Learn hundreds of safe, natural ways to manage unwanted pests and species and get helpful info on the safest products available. Find a solution with the least impact on your garden and the environment at plantsomethingmaine.org/IPM. Happy planting!
Again, thank you for this opportunity to share information about Maine's horticulture industry, Maine's little-known, second largest crop. I appreciate the magnitude of your responsibilities and wish you much success. On behalf of MELNA members, we look forward to working with you and remain available to answer any questions you may have now and in the future.
There has been a resurgence of interest in agriculture over the last 10 to 15 years. More and more younger people, particularly those who did not grow up on a farm, are choosing to engage in commercial agriculture as a way to merge their shared goals of making a living with a daily interaction with nature and an interest in ensuring its health and sustainability into the future. And many organizational groups have developed to offer opportunities for these farmers to share their goals and perspectives, to gain some hands-on training in agricultural practices, and to promote a diversity of production styles and market options for Maine-produced products. Let's hear from one of the oldest of such groups, the Maine Organic Farmers and Gardeners Association.
Hello, Maine legislators. My name is Heather Spalding, and I'm the Deputy Director of the Maine Organic Farmers and Gardeners Association. MOFGA is the oldest and largest state organic association in the country. We began in 1971, so this year we're celebrating 50 years of building a more local, more organic Maine agriculture. We hope you'll join us in celebrating this milestone throughout the year and that you'll visit our signature annual event, the Common Ground Country Fair. MOFGA is creating opportunities for Mainers to engage in the local organic food and agriculture movement. We want to ensure that local organic is an accessible primary choice for all Mainers, regardless of income or geography. MOFGA works hard to ensure that existing and new farmers have the support, training, and resources to sustain and grow the number of organic farms in Maine. Our farmer program staff serves as a sort of organic cooperative extension with expertise in organic crop and livestock production as well as marketing. Through our USDA accredited organic certification program, we certify more than 500 farms and processing facilities throughout Maine. MOFGA aims to have 10% of Maine's agricultural lands managed organically by the year 2030. We also manage a certified clean cannabis program, which draws heavily on the national organic standards. With a broad base of stakeholders, we embrace legislation that falls under 6 policy themes: climate and energy, farm viability, human health and environment, organic integrity, organic research and education, and social justice and equity. We look forward to working with you to implement great public policy in all of these areas. Now you'll hear from a few of the MAFCA farmers who are helping to build a more local, more organic Maine agriculture.
For me, it's simple. I need to feed people. That's my purpose here. And so as a farmer, I am looking to create a strong community of people to feed, and then I also need a strong community of people to connect with, because it isn't easy. There's so much to be done, and we're all so busy that we end up being on our farm and in this little bubble. So it's great to kind of break out of that bubble and reach out to each other.
I'm Ken Lamson, and this is my wife Adrienne Lee, and we're New Beet Farm.
New Beet Farm is a diversified organic mixed vegetable farm. We raise about 4 acres in mixed veg every year and about an acre in cut flowers. We have a small flock of sheep and a few draft horses that do all of our field work for us.
I think through MAFCA we met people more through our direct farmers markets and through programs. Both Adrienne and I have been through the apprentice program. We've both been through the Journey Person program. Some of it came out of necessity around here. We just started meeting local people, looking for a harrow, looking for some welding to get done on something.
Yeah, like the farmer to farmer is a good place for resourcing, connecting with other farms. One thing I've been really excited about is we're part of this new alliance, this Daybreak Growers Alliance. Through that, I've been able to interact and see farms around this area that usually we were able to connect in the wintertime, but we actually see them on a weekly basis. Just gauge where people are at, not just looking at people's Instagram feeds or something, which is not really the healthiest thing to do as far as ways to see what other people are doing.
It's worth a good laugh sometimes.
Yeah, it's worth a good laugh.
My name is Adam Nordell. I'm Johanna Davis, and we have Songbird Farm. Songbird Farm is a certified organic vegetable and grain farm in Unity. We grow vegetables for a wholesale market, and then grains, and we have a small stone mill that we custom mill flowers. When we moved back to Maine, we were learning still. We both worked on farms but never ran our own. And it was, MAFCA definitely had the draw of learning, education, program support, all of that. And we were in the Journey Person program for 2 years.
Farmer to Farmer is an amazing conference every year that we always take a lot of inspiration and new ideas from. If you're a certified organic farm in Maine, you're really lucky that not everybody has it this good. Not everybody has this much cultural and institutional support. In 3 words, farming for me is work, hope, and despair. Work, hope, and stress.
Stress, yeah. I'll stick with those.
Planning, patience, persistence. I mean, those are the things I struggle with. So to me, they're on the forefront of it.
I would say challenge and joy and right livelihood, maybe, which is kind of 2 words, but kind of one statement. But just I feel really fortunate that we're able to be farmers. As much as it's a hard row to hoe sometimes, I feel really grateful for the opportunity to be able to do what we do and to be able to have our hands in the soil, be able to be outside, breathe in fresh air while we're working. It comes with its costs of stress and can wear down on your body and emotions, but ultimately I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Today's agriculture is not the bucolic, Norman Rockwell-style, simple subsistence living of 100, 50, or even 25 years ago. Agriculture is science, a biological and chemical process of caring for our environment in order to encourage things to grow. And in the last 100 years, science has made some incredible discoveries, increasing our knowledge of how plants and animals develop, the establishment of new technologies to combat age-old enemies of pests and weeds, and a better understanding of how those technologies may impact our soils, waters, living flora and fauna, as well as future generations of farmers and food production. We have also learned that while many farmers share similar challenges and strengths, no two farms in Maine are exactly alike. Our diversity of products grown and the individuality of the people who grow them naturally builds a resilience into the Maine agricultural landscape, while simultaneously helping our farmers tailor their products to changing consumer interests and adapt to meet developing market opportunities. However, that diversity makes it more challenging for Maine farmers to find the right kind of information and expertise to address the needs of their specific crop and farm structure. In order to fill the intense need for technical assistance, up-to-date information, and help incorporating new developments in scientific research, farmers rely on the University of Maine's Cooperative Extension. A component of Maine's land-grant university, Cooperative Extension is a doorway to academic expertise and practical, locally based solutions for farmers, small business owners, youth, parents, consumers, and many others. Through UMaine Extension workshops, classes, and events, both in person and virtual, and from the knowledgeable professionals scattered among the 16 county offices, the main office in Orono, and on many of the state's academic and research farm facilities, farmers can access information about the newest technology or the oldest, time-honored, and proven practices. If last year, the now infamous 2020, has taught us anything, it's that we all need to be prepared to deal with the unexpected. For farmers, that is a way of life, dealing with droughts or deluges, bugs or blight, changes within the family that change the operation of the farm, whether it's birth, death, injury, generational transfer. Through it all, Cooperative Extension is the premier resource for farmers to find existing information and undertake that new research when additional information is needed. Extension staff offer business management assistance, crop-specific training, and skill development, and even help develop new products or identify new markets for Maine products. They are one of our hidden gems that don't get half of the recognition they deserve for all that they do for Maine farmers and beyond. The onset of COVID-19 created not only a worldwide health crisis, but the strategies necessary to contain the spread of the disease resulted in catastrophic shifts in the marketplace for food and food products. Those impacts were felt at the global, national, state, right down to the local levels, and many were beyond the control of Maine farmers. But Cooperative Extension stepped in early in the pandemic to provide a clearinghouse for up-to-date information, provide resources to create a safe environment for farm families and their employees, and assistance to help farmers identify and adapt to new market opportunities, doing what Maine people do best, help each other. Here's a look at just one example of how Cooperative Extension has served as a connecting network to support all types of Maine farms during these uncertain times.
I'm trying to think of the timelines because everything's been such a blur, but It's a lot of work for farmers in the farm community to keep their businesses viable. There's a cheesemaker, Allison Lakin.
I love making cheese. I wear fabulous Hawaiian shirts. Lakin from Lakin's Gorgeous Cheese, and so today it gets salted. My business I structured so that 85% is wholesale direct restaurants. 85% of my income went away. I am trying very hard to not think about all of the things that I'm terrified by.
With restaurants closing, I had to make a very quick pivot.
Yeah, we've had to kind of redesign a whole new marketing model in a very short period of time.
But we all still have to work really hard to get our products sold.
I sat down and thought, all right, what can I do? How do I make everybody know that I have my cheese available? I started the Google Doc and sent it around to people that I knew who were making things and who weren't now able to sell things.
I asked my support staff to take that information and to start putting it onto our website. Overnight, we went from 7 responses to 60, and then the next day we were up to like over 100 entries. Yesterday it was like 305 farms and seafood operations and cheesemakers and fiber artists. People are using a resource like this to connect with their local farms.
It's like all of a sudden we became visible to a lot more people.
Yeah, like they're coming to the farm. I love that.
It feels really different to be at a farm than be in a line under bright fluorescent lights 6 feet apart.
We can provide essentially all of our food needs right here in Maine.
The more people that shift in this direction, the more affordable it's going to get, the more available it's going to get.
That map really is the work of so many organizations in Maine. I've seen like a visual of it and all of the bubbles for where the farms are, and it's so beautiful.
By buying locally, you are helping us be here for when we're on the other side of this. Yeah, because we'll have something on the other side. Let's work at making sure that things stay in place so that it will be the best that it can be on the other side.
While we are not completely on the other side of this pandemic event, there is great optimism for a return to stabilized markets in 2021. But with the help of entities like University of Maine Cooperative Extension and many others we didn't have a chance to visit today, Maine agriculture will not only survive, but we are poised to flourish. I have the utmost respect for those who commit themselves to making sure that there is food on all our tables. The farm families and their employees who are up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning to milk the cows so my daughter can have her bowl of cereal in the morning are greatly appreciated. The people who work 20-hour days in the summer to nurture and then harvest crops during a limited growing season are engaged in a most honorable profession. And I have yet to meet a farmer who will say that they do this kind of work for the money. The work is physically and mentally demanding, and even though our modern technological advancements are helping us work smarter, not harder, than those farmers of the last century, the commitment shown by today's farming men and women is no less commendable. Every time you sit down to a meal, or receive a bouquet of flowers, or decorate your Christmas tree, be sure to take a minute to acknowledge and thank the farm team that made it possible. AGCOM is a resource for farmers, but we are also a key resource for policymakers. We don't always take a position on every single issue, but when we do take a stand, you can be confident that it is because the potential impact on agriculture is of great significance. And we ask you to include our perspective in your deliberations. AGCOM can also serve as a conduit to our member organizations, some of whom may have a greater stake in some legislative discussions than others. The members of AGCOM, on behalf of all of Maine agriculture, look forward to addressing your questions, providing useful information, and serving as a resource for you as you tackle the many complex issues facing our state.